look, I think one of the good areas that we have in sevens is there's a lot of very straight down the line refereeing. There's not a lot of fluff in how we're being asked to referee it in terms of what is and isn't negotiable. And I actually feel quite comfortable when going into the sevens that I know what criteria I'm going to be judged against and what needs to be blown and what not. And a lot of the reason for that is just the way that Paddy and Craig have set it up in terms of in terms of what the teams understand is going to be refereed. And that has been built up over a long time, certainly preceding my involvement in the sevens. But I guess over the last sort of 6 months, 7-8 months that I've been involved and been fortunate enough to to go to the Commonwealth, the World Cup, a couple of areas that we're progressing and really trying to keep a tight hold on, where perhaps we have changed is in and around the tackle. Obviously in 15s we have quite a lot of tolerance around arriving players slightly dabbing the floor, slipping off their feet. We are really taking a strong stance on that now, and that's being drawn back to really put some responsibility on the players to make sure they stay on their feet. So I guess that's one of the key areas that's changed over the last sort of 6 months in terms of how we're refereeing that area. I want to just quickly talk about, just for those that do and don't know, around in my eyes, a couple of the key areas of refereeing sevens, and what is expected of us from the elite game. And I understand from a couple of chats with Leish, we want to try, certainly in Dubai, we want to try and get the invitational tournament as closely refereed to the elite game as possible. And I think that's a really good idea because it sort of brings us all on the same board, lets everyone know where they stand. So the first thing I'll talk about really quickly is our two areas of zero tolerance. So in the elite level of sevens, we have two areas of zero tolerance. And what that means is if you commit one of these offences, you will be yellow carded. And there's absolutely no negotiation, no context, no materiality, none of that is applied to these situations. They are just zero tolerance. So the first one is any throwing the ball away, any kicking the ball away, and that's either at penalty, free kick, or when the ball goes into touch, or when a try is scored and the team's trying to take a conversion quickly. Any offence of deliberately trying to slow the game, or preventing an opposition from taking the ball is a straight yellow card. And that is so well understood by all the teams. I think it's one of the best areas of sevens, because when it happens, and it's, they try not to do it too much, but obviously sometimes stupidity can take over. When it happens, everyone expects it. There's absolutely no arguments whatsoever from the teams, from the players, from the coaches. They expect it. Half the time they're already running off the pitch before it happens.
Do you also have advanced 10 metres for that as well, or is it just the straight yellow and carry on with where the penalty is, or is there an advancement of 10 metres as well?
No, absolutely. So if it's a penalty or a free kick that they're doing it at in the field of play, we would advance that 10 metres. Definitely. Obviously, if it's in touch, it's just a penalty on the 15 metre. So if they're already in touch, they throw the ball away, prevent the opposition from taking it. It's a penalty on the 15. And if after they score a try, the opposition kick the ball away so they can't take a conversion quickly, you allow the conversion, then it's a penalty restart to the team that have scored.
Right, lovely, thanks.
In sevens, it's pure risk versus reward. If you go with one arm and you don't catch the ball, then you're going to be yellow carded. And again, it's so well understood. And it would be absolutely brilliant if we can get that filtering down into the Invitational, where players just fully understand that this is how it's refereed. So that's the two non-negotiable areas.
So, Steve, we're just going to have a look now, aren't we, at the tackle area and some of the focuses, because it's a key part of refereeing sevens, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's obviously a real key part of the game. If we look at the core elements of sevens, a lot of it is based around the speed of the ball from the breakdown, and we're mostly used to refereeing 15s. Clearly, there's a different dynamic when we look at sevens.
So let's just have a look at some of those focuses that we should be looking out for, and what that means for us as referees as well. So if you want to take us through, Steve, that would be great.
Yeah, look, let's have a look at the main priorities. Will not change. We look at the tackler and the tackle assist, the tackle players, and then the arriving players. So if we look at the tackler first, we have a clear understanding of what we're expecting from that person. So we're looking at him to immediately release the ball and the ball carrier and move away from the tackle player, allowing the side in possession to get the ball away from that area. One of the key things that we look at is the direction in which the tacklers move. So we're looking at them moving from east to west. That allows the ball to come freely from the tackle zone, and it doesn't interfere with the scrum half who's arriving to clear the ball. So east to west, not north to south. And if you do that,
rather than 15s where we might let things breathe and we play through, we make quick decisions because we're after space and quick ball.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. If we have, we're not looking to play advantage here. The advantage is in giving the penalty. If you think about it, if we penalise the tackler for not getting out of the way, he's on the floor, he's out of the game. If we then allow the scrum half to tap and go quickly, that side is a clear advantage. That advantage wouldn't be there if we try to play the advantage, because we would actually end up with slow ball, which is against the elements of what we're trying to do.
So moving on then, that's the tackler. What about this assistant tackler?
Assist tackler, yeah. Look, again, we don't want to take away the competition for the ball. So if the assist tackler does everything that we ask him, i.e. releases the ball and the ball carrier immediately, he is allowed then to go back and compete for the ball. He clearly has to have come through the gate, and he clearly has to have shown daylight on the release. Again, if he doesn't release and he doesn't, and he goes straight onto stays on the ball, then let's penalise him quickly. Let's get him out of the game, and let's let the team tap and go and show pace in the game.
Then we move on to the tackle player after the others.
Yeah, tackle player, again, what we're looking at is that we're looking at him to play, him or her to play the ball immediately, allowing the ball to be released. We can't prevent opposition players who are on their feet from getting possession. So we've seen that assist tackler, or we've seen that arriving player come in. They've got onto the ball. They're clearly on the ball. They're clearly pulling it. And if the player's holding on, then we look at giving the easy holding on penalty. The other thing, when a player's been tackled, we don't expect him to roll in along the ground to prevent that the opposition going for the ball. And again, we're looking for really quick, positive decisions in these elements.
And that one that you just mentioned is quite important, isn't it? Because sometimes that momentum from a tackle, they tend to roll, but it's whether they're preventing the person there who's not part of the tackle, perhaps, from actually gaining possession as an arriving player. It's that extra roll that stops that happening. Yeah,
and look, we've probably in the past not been so strict on that, and especially when we've done 15s, we would have probably allowed an extra roll. If we get that, we have to penalise it. And again, it's a question of identifying it quickly and not looking to play advantage, but let's ping these things quickly and get on with the game.
And then those arriving players that we've just been speaking about as well. I suppose that's last on our thought process once we've gone through all the others, isn't it?
Yeah, well, hopefully the ball's away and being played, Mike. But clearly we do have arriving players coming in. Nothing changes here. They have to arrive through the gate, through their own goal line. They remain on their feet whilst playing the ball. First arriving player has clear rights, but again, through the gate, clearly on the ball, and clearly looking to play the ball, looking to lift the ball. The other thing that we sometimes see from the arriving players, whether you're a defender or attacker, is they go sometimes beyond the ball. So if we're going beyond the ball as a defender to come back onto the ball, that's a clear penalty. And again, if we've got the support players, the team with the ball, if they're going to go in and they go beyond the player onto the ground, we're looking at that sealing off, and we're looking at that being penalised.
And one of the points there is, which we see a lot more in sevens, and I think in the last year or so we've seen it, is this swing around. So there, you get like maybe a tackler or a tackle assist, somebody close to the breakdown or the tackle that puts their hands on the ball from an illegal position, on offside position, and then swings their hips around. So it looks like they did it right. Yeah,
look, Mike, these players are highly skilled, and it's an art, and it's really difficult sometimes. You think, how's that player got there? And usually what they do, they put their hands onto the ball as they come around, and they are clearly swinging their hips around. It is a really tough one. And are we going to get all of these right? No. But if we improve our pictures of all these things, especially this swinging the hips around, we have a better chance of refereeing it.
And then there's just another couple of things that we need to look at. Not that there isn't too many already. Other considerations for us as officials.
Yeah, this is some things that are creeping in, and you could call it the subtle art of that happens at the breakdown. We don't want players held into the tackle. Sides know that we're going to ping the tackler for not moving, and sometimes there's the side that holds the tackle player, holds the player into the breakdown, looking to get the penalty. And then we also see we see it more at 15s, but we do still see it in sevens, where an arriving player will look to pin somebody from the opposition into the tackle. It is something we need to be more aware of. It is something that is penalisable. If we see somebody preventing a defending player getting up from a breakdown to go and defend a zone, then we've got to prepare to penalise and probably yellow card.
Yeah, that's one of those things that became a focus, wasn't it, a couple of years ago? And it's one of those red lines, the same as throwing the ball away, I suppose.
Yeah, look, we're going to be really strong on throwing the ball away. We're going to be really strong on people when we see them deliberately holding people in and preventing them to get back in the game to defend a space. Obviously, the breakdown is a real key area for us, and we have to get very quickly into a mentality that this is sevens and not 15s. Mm-hmm. And one of the big challenges, we're going to have about 77 referees there who have come from different backgrounds. So we need to discuss not today, but how we actually make sure we get that clear message to them as a group. Okay, and I think one of the key things is how quickly the penalties are given, and the fact that it's almost like zero tolerance as well, Adam, in many ways. If people go off their feet, as you say, we would usually in 15s play through a lot of that that we've just seen, but we can't do that now. So any questions, guys? Because again, this is a real key area for us.
Yeah, one from me, if I may, Adam. Has there been an agreed position about the deliberate knock-on by the tackler in the tackle? I refer you to Carl Dixon a couple of weeks ago. Remember, I was coaching Ben Russell. He taught me how they are taught to tackle with the loose arm on the outside, so it becomes a deliberate knock-on.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Like it's even in the elite level of the game, it's purely a judgment call. But what the language I would always use when I'm selling it one way or the other. So if I have one which I think is clearly deliberate, I would say you are targeting the ball before the tackle. So I would say you're leading with that arm, you're targeting the ball before the tackle. That's a yellow card. The other way around, you just say it's all part of the tackle. You've accidentally knocked the ball on. That's the language we'd use, but it is a judgment call. And even in the elite level, we're not allowed to use TMO for deliberate knock-ons. So it's a judgment between the referee and between the AR. Just lastly, around something Steve said around the philosophy around how quickly we give penalties. It is a shift for your referees, and it's going to be almost difficult to get them into that mindset. And part of how I learned and how I adapted quite quickly was just understanding why, and the reasons why teams want that is to focus on that broken defense. Sevens is all about allowing pace on the game, creating fatigue, playing against broken defense. So the teams want the quick penalties. They don't want these long advantages, because they want to play against the first man who's offside. They want to get in behind. That's their benefit. And when I understood that, because we're so tuned in 15s to say advantage and, well done for the great advantage and long advantage, and we got to try this, try that. It's not like that in sevens. And once you get your referees to understand the reasons why they don't want to play long advantages, it's much easier for your referees to be more comfortable in playing like that. There will be times from things like high tackles or slight hands on the floor where the ball comes away immediately that you can play an advantage, and you do get a line break, but it's very rare. And again, we play advantage over so quickly for both elements, whether it's scrum or penalty in sevens, that it's fully understood that that's the way it's played at the elite level, and it connects very well to the players, and that's the way they want to play. So that's the way we referee it.